Good morning. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Fit Body Secrets. My mission is to bring you guys inspiration, motivation, and a ton of tips to help y'all on your fitness journey. And I am live right now. So if you are watching the recording, give me a few minutes because I'm going to just kind of make sure everything is synced up on my Instagram. I've been liking to stream these now on Instagram too because sometimes I get some comments and stuff on there that can be helpful for me to be able to answer people live. So if you are watching live, definitely feel free to post in the comments. And y'all know once I get going, I probably won't respond, but I will see them and I'll say my hello after I get started. Oh, I see a little red dot. I'm going to go over and say hi. Yo, good morning, Bruce. It has been forever for sure. I've been podcasting a little bit earlier. Full transparency, when I'm pretty open about my own issues, and I was in the hospital right after Thanksgiving. And since then, I have just like completely revamped my schedule, and it has been so helpful for me. And that's where I'm getting things done a lot earlier in the day, which is great. So, how is the weather up there? If you can't tell how dark it is right now in my house, it's like really gloomy outside. I feel like it might as well be the Northeast. It does not look like Florida right now, but I don't know how cold it is though, and I do not want to go outside. Yeah. So Jeff, just so you know, you're saying this is pretty early. I've been up since 4 a.m., so I'm already 4 hours into my day. So, and this is my second cup of coffee. But also my second one. In fact, I've been thinking about a little title for my podcast, and I'm not going to title it, but two things were rolling off of my thoughts is I thought coffee talk with Coach Cheryl because I am doing a little bit earlier. But the other thing is my very non-aesthetic background. Y'all are in my kitchen because I really like working from my kitchen counter. I can stand, I can sit. I just like it. So, and I am working on my podcast studio, but it's a complete mess right now because I started painting the wall and stuff like that. And I just can't get it done yet. So I ain't got time. I got too much other stuff going on. I got some really, really, really excited stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be doing a Sprint 21 for those of y'all looking to get your nutrition on track. I've got a workshop that I'm teaching. I just taught a workshop. It's just really exciting stuff. But today's topic I'm going to be going over is fitness trackers. And it was funny. I didn't even realize this, how like awareness of like what other people see is crazy. But I was doing a Zoom with my clients. And if you're watching me on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, I wear an Apple Watch. And which one am I? I wear an Apple Watch and I also wear my Whoop strap. And one of my clients like, what are those fitness trackers you're wearing? And I was like, oh, it's so funny. People are going to like, obviously like thinking, I just feel like I'm walking around, like just tracking data. Like this arm does this. It really isn't. I got my Apple Watch years ago. A Whoop strap doesn't have a face to have like the time on it. So that's essentially why I wear both. I like the Whoop strap better for tracking data, but we're going to go over data tracking today. Primarily, I want to talk about like the whole calorie expenditure thing on your fitness trackers, how to use it, if it's relevant at all, and hopefully help give you guys some direction if you are wearing a fitness tracker and what you guys can be doing with this data to help improve your results. And I'm talking about fat loss today, but also if you are somebody that maybe feels like your nutrition's just not right, like you're just not feeling as good in your training, like maybe things are off, you can actually use this data to help you figure out if when making adjustments, if you're actually seeing improvements with things. So a lot of things to talk about today. And if you guys have questions specifically about fitness trackers or anything, or even questions not related to my topic today, and you are watching live, please feel free to post it in there. So first thing I'm going to say is if you're going to ask me, which fitness tracker do I recommend? Honestly, they're all going to be off a little bit, right? So whenever you're talking about fitness trackers, compare apples to apples and just figure out what works best for you. I do really like the Whoop band. I've worn it since 2020, I believe. So I've got years of data. And it doesn't impact my workouts or anything. The Aura Ring is another really good one, but that one I don't like wearing because I don't want to wear a ring when I'm working out. So it would probably bother me like holding a barbell or doing pull-ups on the bar. Fitbit, Garmin, Apple Watch, whatever you're doing, you're just going to always want to be consistent comparing apples to apples. So If you're doing Fitbit, stick with your Fitbit. Don't like get a Fitbit and an Apple Watch and be like, well, this one says this and this one says that. It's just not, going to really matter. We are going to talk a little bit about accuracy. I'm going to talk about what it actually measures. And I'm going to start by talking about calorie expenditure. We can kind of go down the rabbit hole of things like sleep, HRV. I did write these other things down, heart rate zones, resting heart rate, and stuff like that as well. So let's talk about the main thing, which is the calories it is telling you that your workouts burn. And I want to start with this because a lot of people like to use that as a gauge of an effective workout. Like, oh, this workout burned this many calories. It's really good. Or I burned this many calories in this workout, so I should be eating this many calories. It's this like, I guess, a numbers game about, how you feel about your effort in a workout or you're deserving of eating food. And this is where the accuracy of them is probably not very right. So it's going to be consistently gauging progress over time. So it's going to be doing it inaccurately over time. You're getting inaccurate data, but the actual numbers on there aren't going to always be very accurate. And here is why. I got my notes. I'm actually sitting right now, though, which isn't like me. Your watch actually measures your effort or your energy expenditure based off of your muscular strain from your cardiac output. So it's essentially measuring how hard your heart is working. So whenever you're jacking your heart rate up and you're keeping it up for a longer period of time, you're putting more cardiac strain on your body. And what this requires is it requires your body to pump blood at a much faster level. Your body is pumping blood faster per minute than you are when you're just resting. This increased cardiac output is registering as harder output, and that's what your watch is calculating. That's why heart rate is this big thing, right? So the second thing it also does is it increases your demand for oxygen. Okay, so obviously when you're doing a workout and you're like, I'm out of breath, right? Like that's your body demanding oxygen. That increased stress on your body does cause more of a caloric expenditure. So the harder you're working, the longer. And this is why, honestly, I believe like the best type of cardio training for most people isn't necessarily zone 2, and it isn't necessarily such high intensity that you can't do like, so for instance, when you can accumulate somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes of sustainable effort in intervals, it's probably the sweet spot for getting the most caloric expenditure, because too high of an output, you're only going to be able to last for maybe like a minute for maybe like 10 sets, which is only going to be like 10 minutes. So your cardiac output will be high for a minute, but that's only a minute. Too low, you're going to have to go for too long. And if you're anything like any other CrossFitters, you're going to get bored of the zone 2 stuff. But the sweet spot, why a lot of CrossFitters like it, is like that 3 to 5 minute domain. And you can kind of repeat that. That's kind of the sweet spot for that stuff. So those are the two main things that your watch is measuring. It's measuring how hard your heart is working to pump blood and also getting oxygen delivered to your body so that you can breathe. And that is why it's not 100% accurate, because there's some things that are missing from there. The other thing I didn't mention on here, and this isn't going to be measured by your watch, but cardio-based training also does have muscle activation as well. So your body does require energy just to kind of activate different muscle groups. And there's also a excessive post-oxygen, EPOC. So excessive post-exercise oxygen consumption. I had to like write that down because I always will say it in the wrong order. There is a little bit of that after training, not as much after like longer. So like the longer, slower stuff isn't going to create as much of that as something that has kept your heart rate up longer. Like those workouts that leave you on the ground a little bit longer, that's your body trying to get back to homeostasis. Now, I'm not saying this like you should be going that hard all the time either. So don't hear this and say, oh my God, I should probably be going a lot harder in my workouts. That's not the goal. I'm just explaining to you how your watch is measuring your cardiac output. And that's really the main thing that it's measuring. So if you're looking for calorie expenditure, that's how your body is burning more calories. So if you want to burn more calories in your workout, it's essentially getting to a place where you can sustain different heart rates for a little bit longer time. The things that it doesn't measure and where the inaccuracy can come in, if you are a CrossFitter or you are a lifter and you're doing a lot of strength work, your watch is not able to measure the muscular strain that you're putting on your body. So if I'm doing a workout with a 25-pound kettlebell, for kettlebell swings and my heart rate's up and it's staying up or whatever, it's measuring that cardiac output. But let's just say I take that 25-pound kettlebell and I change it out for a 55-pound kettlebell. Okay. I'm now actually putting more muscular strain on my body. So even though my heart rate might not be changing, it might be just the same. It might, the heavier weight might not be jacking up my heart rate anymore, but my muscular strain has now went up considerably. So I'm actually burning more calories. And this is where, like, sometimes even myself, I'm like, I'll look at my Whoop shop and I'm like, bitch, I just freaking busted my ass in that workout. You're telling me I only got a strain of an 8.2? And it's because it's not measuring the muscular load. It's measuring the cardiac, that heart rate is what it's really measuring. So that's what's going on. So you're not getting the muscular strain. The anaerobic stuff that's going on in your body is not being measured by your fitness tracker. So it's really important that when you're using this data, you're using it not so much to think about, oh my gosh, that's all the calories I burned, or that is how many calories I burned. It's not always going to be as accurate. So, but what you can be accurate with doing is if your training is pretty much consistent from day to day and you're keeping your weightlifting consistent from day to day, week to week, which I know CrossFitters have a lot of constantly varied stuff, but you should still probably have some kind of a flow to your training. You can track trends and changes and see, okay, is my cardiac or my energy expenditure going up over time, or is it going down over time, or is it staying the same? And this is where you can use this data to help make specific adjustments to your nutrition or even to your training to help you get better progress. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything on those things that I wanted to mention. Okay, so here's how I like my clients to use their fitness trackers. First and foremost, like I said, it's all about tracking trends. So I like to see on a daily basis how much extra activity a person's getting in outside of just their normal routine. So if like a person's only working out 3 days a week and they're burning 200 calories, right? And their weight is stuck, I might be like, hey, we might want to increase your output a little bit. Like that might be a better thing than just dropping your calories right now, because you might benefit from moving more. And it's not just about the calorie expenditure and the fat loss goals. It's also from a health perspective. So the body was designed to move. And I honestly do not think that 3 times a week of moving your body is enough. I'm not saying that you have to do 90-minute sessions 6 days a week, but we should be moving our body every single day. That might be a 30-minute walk one day, and it might be a CrossFit workout the next day, and it might be a strength training session the next day. It might be another walk. It might be CrossFit, whatever it is. You should be doing some form of movement every single day. So I think that it's good for you guys to be able to see that, because if you are in a place where like I'm doing all the things with my nutrition, but the weight's not moving, that's a great place for you to change it up. So I want you guys to focus more on using it as tracking trends and seeing those changes. So the other thing that I'll use it for on the opposite end is, let's say I have a client that's been working with me for a while and they're being very, very successful. And then all of a sudden they're hitting a plateau. Sometimes what happens with under eating, so when you're trying to lose fat, you're technically under eating, is that the body starts to burn less calories. So your output actually goes down. And this is a sign for me that, hey, maybe we need to actually bring calories up a little bit, because that actually might increase your energy expenditure. So they might burn more calories and get more intensity. And this is also relative for those of you guys out there that don't have fat loss goals, because let's just say your goals are fitness or building muscle or getting stronger. If you are under eating, your body is also preserving a little bit. It's saving a little bit of energy. So just by bringing calories up, your intensity might go up. And it's great to see those correlations. I started eating more. Oh my God, I'm burning more calories. This is a really cool thing for you guys to be able to see. So that's the main thing that I want to talk about today with the calories. And the main thing that I want you to take away from this is, don't think about these numbers as like, I have to hit this many calories burned a day, or this is how many calories I'm burning, so this is how much I should eat, or any of that kinds of stuff. But it is really cool to be able to see, okay, this is where my trends are going. This is about how much volume my body can handle. And this is how I can maybe tweak things to either add or take volume away. And then now I want to go into some other things that you guys can be using this fitness tracker for whether it's fat loss related, whether it's fitness related, or whether it's just health and overall, just making sure that your body is optimized. So these fitness trackers do have data that people don't pay attention to. I do recommend fitness trackers. And one of the reasons why is I like people to track their steps. And it's not about how much walking are you doing a day. When people think steps, I think they're envisioning like some person out there like like just power walking for hours on end. Like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying, okay, if your watch is tracking your steps, this gives you an understanding of how active you are throughout your day. So if your entire day from like 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. is behind a desk, and you're stressed out because like you can't lose weight, and you're only doing a 20-minute CrossFit workout a day, which is burning maybe 200 calories, and you're not wanting to drop your calories because the amount of calories you're consuming is already low, the solution might be, let's increase your movement a little bit. And it's about being smart about your workday and how we can figure out how to make little, I guess, workout snacks happen, we'll call it. So a little get up and move around in your chair, go get up and go out to your car, just get up and move throughout the day. It's hard because if you're anything like me, once you're in work mode, like you're in work mode, you don't want to get up and move. So, but steps is one of the things. I know, Jeff, you were asking about accuracy. One of the things that is very hard to gauge accuracy on, and I don't know that this will ever be a perfect thing, is sleep. The most accurate one that I have found is my Whoop strap, my Whoop one. And I think the Oura Ring and the 8 Sleep mattress also does a pretty good job of this as well. But the problem with tracking sleep is it's going by your movement, so like it's going by your movement. So if I'm laying in bed, and I think it goes by your heart rate a little bit too, but if I'm laying in bed and I'm just not moving, I might not be sleeping. And my watch might think that I'm sleeping, especially if you're a super fit individual. It might register that your low heart rate is now you've fallen asleep when you might still be awake. But what I like about my Whoop strap in particular, my Whoop band, is that it gives me an idea of how long I've been in bed for and how many of those hours I've been asleep for. And most fitness trackers don't do that. They're just like, you were asleep for 8 hours, and you really weren't. You were in bed for 8 hours. And I feel like the Whoop band does a good job of being like, it measures like your sleep latency. So essentially, and what I like about this is it gets me to understand how long I need to be in bed for in order to get 7 or 8 hours of sleep. So for me, I have a sleep latency of about an hour to maybe sometimes 2 hours. I know it's horrible, but I have dealt with sleep issues for a while. So in order for me to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, I have to be in bed an hour before I want to fall asleep. That's essentially what I know. If I want to be asleep by 9 o'clock, I got to be in bed by 8 o'clock because I have sleep latency issues. As that improves, and it goes through waves, but that's really cool for you to see improvements and things like that. Frequency of waking up throughout the day or throughout the evening, the Whoop band does a pretty good job of that. And that was really eye-opening to me when I did think that I was sleeping well, because I was actually waking up like 13 times a night. And now I'm down to like maybe 4 or 5. And it's usually because I have to pee. So it does a good job of measuring sleep. Other data points for you guys to be relevant or that are relevant for you, especially if you are HRV is a big one. And this is for everybody, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a non-athlete, whether you are somebody that is, very busy, anybody that deals with any kind of stress, hormonal issues and things like that, your HRV is a great number to look at. And what your HRV measures is it's essentially your central nervous system recovery. So it's the discrepancy between your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system. And if you are somebody who deals with a lot of stress, emotional, physical, mental, being busy all the time, go, and your HRV is very low, this also could be why you're having a hard time sleeping. So I like looking at HRV and seeing if we can't optimize that. And there really isn't a magic number here. I think getting your HRV 70 plus is a good place to start. But some people don't feel great at a 70 HRV. Some people actually so for me, my best HRV when I'm at my peak is probably always over 100. When I'm like, meh, it's usually in the 70s to the 90s. Like that's where I know. When I'm below 70, I know it ain't good. So that's a really good number for people to measure in terms of stress, but also for workouts as well, especially if you guys are doing things that are requiring a lot more central nervous system recruitment, like Olympic lifting or gymnastic skills. So You're like, God, why do my bar muscle ups feel good one day, but not the next day? Believe it or not, your HRV is a great thing to look at there. So that does help you see that kinds of stuff. Your resting heart rate is another thing that I like people to pay attention to, because you can see, obviously with training, it helps you figure out if you're overtraining or if you're getting fitter. So we should be seeing an improvement in your resting heart rate as you are getting more fit, unless you're at your quote unquote genetic potential. So like at this point in my life, my resting heart rate probably isn't going to improve at all. It's probably going to always stay where it's at for the rest of my life. I can't make any improvements. It's probably, hopefully it doesn't get any worse, but it's not going to get any better either. I'm probably at my peak potential of healthy resting heart rate. But for a lot of people, especially when you're newer to CrossFit, newer to conditioning training, it's high. It also shows you like when you might be under too much stress. So if my resting heart rate starts going up, that's also a sign that I'm under too much stress and that maybe my body needs a little bit of recovery. So that could be a good number for you guys to look at as well. But the main thing that I really wanted to cover today, I know I kind of went on a tangent with that kind of stuff, was really understanding the importance of how to look at the calories your watch is telling you that you are burning, because that is probably the biggest misconception. And it's not 100% right. It's not 100% wrong. It just is. And you want to look at trends. So if I don't have my phone near me right now, actually, I do have my phone near me. I could compare, and I did this actually with my group the other day. If I compared my Whoop data to my Apple Watch data, it's very different. So like yesterday, my Whoop strap told me that I burned 2,433 calories. Okay, if I look at my Apple Watch data, I'll go to my activity on Apple. My activity on Apple told me that I burned, let's see, 3,447 calories. And I would honestly say that that one is more accurate based on the other side of the equation, which is the last thing I want to talk about anyways, is I know how many calories I am consuming every single day. So if you're going to use this data and you're going to take me seriously on using this data, the second piece of the puzzle is if you're going to be focused on numbers here, you need to be focused on the numbers on the other side of the equation. When it comes to body composition, optimizing your body for the peak performance, losing fats, losing weight, any of these things, it is an equation. It is a numbers equation. However, we don't eat by numbers, but we also don't work out by numbers, hopefully, right? We work out because we see a workout on the board. Well, if you're a CrossFitter, I guess we do work out by numbers, AMRAP and 10 rounds and this many reps, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like you have a workout, you do the movements, okay? With your nutrition, you have to have the other side of the equation as well. Caloric intake and measuring that is the other side of the equation. So if you're going to focus on the calories out, you have to be willing to focus on the calories in. And I was going to make a joke about this, but when are they going to come out with like a tracker that is automatically going to be able to dictate how many calories you've like consumed? Oh, you've hit your calorie limit. No more for the day. Like how Apple Watch tells you, you've hit your move goal for the day. You've closed all 3 rings today. Wouldn't it be nice if it was just like 3 o'clock and you have a snack and it's like, ding, doors closed, zip it up. No more food today. That would make life so much easier, right? But it doesn't exist. The only thing that does exist is holding yourself accountable to keeping a food diary. And it's a lot easier said than done, but it's also a lot simpler and a lot easier once you put in the work in the beginning. So in fact, I made an Instagram post today. I was a clean eater, paleo, gonna eat clean, and I would have my couple of meals a week. And then I would have my couple of meals a week. What I mean by that is I'd have a couple of meals where I just didn't think about anything. I didn't care. Yeah, exactly, Jeff. That's what I'm talking about. Like literally all of a sudden you get a freaking shock. Well, like a dog collar. You're done. I'm going to have to make a post about this today because this is good. But yeah, like I wasn't tracking everything. I was a lazy tracker. I started off like, oh, I'm tracking okay. And then I'm like, why am I gaining weight? When I actually took it seriously and I was like, I'm going to do it for 30 days. I lost I started off at about 152. I had hit my like heaviest weight since CrossFit, and it was not good weight. I felt very fluffy and puffy. I will say I felt very strong, but I felt very fluffy and did not feel good on the gymnastics. Um, and I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to go all in. I started tracking my food, and I lost by, and I'll be honest, I didn't weigh myself all the time. But when I started weighing myself, it wasn't until after about 2 or 3 weeks in, I finally got a scale. And I lost in the first month, the first 30 days, I lost about, I want to say close to about 15 pounds. It might've been like 12 to 15 pounds. It was fast. Now I also went all in on it, and I probably went a little bit too in an extreme of a deficit, because I was just like motivated, and I honestly just wanted to get it off. I felt so uncomfortable, but it was amazing to see like, oh my God, now I know exactly why I didn't want to track my food, because all of these meals out are delicious. And now I have to actually be aware and accountable for them. So, and then, it was eye opening. I had to change, pretty much every meal had to change, because my breakfast alone was like freaking 45 grams of fat of healthy food. I wasn't eating like cinnamon buns. It was like 3 eggs, some avocado, some veggies, a banana, some peanut butter. It was a good healthy meal. Coffee with heavy cream. I was like, oh my God, there's like 60 grams of fat in breakfast. What am I going to eat the rest of the day? And I had to slowly make changes to things, but I developed a system. But the cool thing about it was, when I started doing it and I was having to make those changes to my food, I also added foods in, because I was like, oh, okay. So rather than having 400 calories between the eggs and the avocado, I can switch to egg whites, and I can have a little bit of avocado, but now I can have like 3 slices of toast for the same calories and feel better. My energy went up and all that kinds of stuff. And I felt great. Felt awesome. So it took some time, and it took some discipline to kind of get things figured out. But, and I think the other hard thing was, like, at first I was stressed about eating out, because I was like, how am I going to make this happen? But then I realized, like, you know what? I cut it down to twice a week. I would go out once or twice a week. Usually it was on a Saturday night. After training, we would all, there was a couple of places we would go to. There was this place called the Met Bar, or we would go for sushi. And that was like my typical thing. And I knew what I would get there, and I knew it was going to be a little higher in calories, but I didn't feel guilty about it because I was so dialed in. So that's a little bit of my talk today on understanding calories burned through exercise, and a little bit about the other side of that equation as well. If you are looking to get started with your nutrition, I have not released it yet. My pre-sign-up list has already went out. I have an early bird list for my emailer, anybody that's on my email list, and or if you are somebody that attended my workshop that I did on Sunday, you guys already have early access to this. But I am going to be starting a Sprint 21, and it's coming up January 27th. It's going to start and it's going to end the same week of the Open. So it's a great opportunity for you guys to dial things in the right way, getting you ready for the Open. And it's going to start on the 27th. So I'm going to be putting out the information and also the sign up for this on Friday. So I'm waiting till Friday. They get first dibs because I am limiting spots. I want people to get a good experience, and I don't like to dilute my services. So that's the goal for this program, is getting y'all ready for looking lean and mean, whether you're doing the Open for fun, whether you're just getting ready for, well, hopefully the end of winter. I know that for a lot of you guys, the winter lingers. This is kind of our winter, and it's gloomy. So that's it. If you guys have, Jeffrey, HRV. HRV is your heart rate variability. Basically, it's measuring the timing between your heartbeats, and you want more heart rate variability. The more, the better. I shouldn't say the more, the better, but we want optimal. So we should have discrepancies in those. And that's what the HRV is. You can do a lot of research on it, but it's great for understanding how to optimize for like recovering from stress and things like that. So we want to really work on improving that. One of the worst things to tank your HRV, alcohol. If y'all are drinkers, alcohol always tanks your HRV. So little side tangent as well. So if y'all have any questions that you ever want me to talk about on this episode or on these episodes, or if you're on my Instagram or whatnot and you're watching and you're like, I would love to pick your brain on this, please do. Like, this is the stuff that I love to do. And that's why I'm also starting to do this a little bit earlier. I always would love to be able to help with specific things. Usually what I'm bringing to you guys is stuff that I have either had questions asked to me about, or things that I keep seeing people having a misconception about. So I'm always open to chatting, all that kinds of stuff. So until the next episode, have an amazing day. If you are in the north, please stay warm. If you are in the south, hopefully the sun comes out. And I will talk to y'all on the next episode. Peace out.